current opportunities in law as well as other general areas by subject matter experts with national and international exposure to faculty members and research scholars of all the branches and aligned areas. We have received an overwhelming responses from the participants and we are still receiving the request. We would like to thank everyone for playing with such enthusiasm and participating in large numbers. Now I request to inform some instruction for this program. That everyone are advised to join the link for the session for morning and afternoon at least before 15 minutes of this session. During the session, please keep your microphones mute and you can raise questions in the chat box. At the end of each session, a feedback form will be shared with you in the chat box, which has to be filled. It is mandatory to respond to the feedback form of each session to avail the e-certificate of IFDP. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Rashmi Kaushik, Head of the Department School of Law, Starex University, to address the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, and our Chief Guest. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you present.
Hello, a very warm and pleasant good morning, all of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Firstly, I would like to inform you about the Starex University. We have been granted recognition from DCI, the School of Law. We have 3 courses running: BA LLB, BBA LLB, and LLB 3 years. Now, I would like to invite Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. K.S. Rana. Professor Dr. K.S. Rana is a recipient of several national and international awards like SAARC Regional Brilliance Award in the year 2022. He has been awarded Outstanding Leadership Award of Asia 2021, Michigan India Conclave Academic Leadership Award 2021, and many such awards. Professor Rana has an honor of heading the 5 universities like Kumar University, Nainital Residential University, Almora Nalanda University, and much more. Professor Rana has extensive academic career of more than 34 years for teaching and research in university system since 1996 till date on various capacities. Now, I would invite our registrar, Sir, Professor Dr. Amresh Kumar. Professor Amresh Kumar is presently engaged as a registrar of the Starex University, Gurugram. His academic excellence includes PhD in physical education. He has been a member of International Sports Law Journal 2009. Sir is present with us. Currently, he is busy in some meeting. Now, I would invite, give us a minute, please.
R.Prerna, like no. Hello.
Sure, sir. I'll introduce you, and then you can begin. Yeah, I can understand you have shortage of time. Just a second, sir. Yes, sir. Chief guest of today is Professor Dr. Manoj Kumar Sinha. Professor Sinha is the director of prestigious Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. Sir has obtained LLB from University of Delhi and Masters from University of Nottingham. Sir has doctorate in international law from Jawaharlal Nehru University. Sir has published extensively in the field of international law, international relations, constitutional law. Sir is a member of editorial board of various boards. In 1999, Sir has attended 29th session of International Institute of Human Rights in Strasbourg, France. Prior to joining ILI, Sir has been teaching at West Bengal National Law University. In the addition of the responsibilities of the director and professor at ILI, he regularly delivers lecture at various education and training institutes. Sir, it is a pleasure to have you today, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Rashmi, and all your colleagues, Prerna and others. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K.S. Rana, sir, Professor Amresh Kumar, Registrar of the Starex University, and all colleagues and participants. Uh, I'm extremely thankful to the colleagues of the Starex University for inviting me to this particular program on a very important topic, which has been chosen for one day, almost a week program on the advanced research methodology in law, emerging trends and technology, and socio-legal approach. The broad Let me start with when we talk about the research and how this is an emerging or contemporary area, emerging trends in the research, and how research can be useful for the society. That is very important. If I go back to the Roscoe Pond, he has always talked about the research, law as an instrument of social engineering, social transformation, and law should not be static, or constitution should not be static. It has to change according to the time. And what we are witnessing after 100 years later, what he said in 1913, 1914, now almost 100 years later, we feel that a lot of developments has taken place, and particularly in the field of technology, and how technology has been playing an important role in conducting empirical research. I'll come a little bit later on that particular part. But when we start with the research, we, as a law student or law teachers, what we have been taught and what we have been followed from the for many years, a doctrinal approach. We sit in the library and we go and look into the statutes, we looked into the cases, we looked into the other relevant theories and comparative perspective, and try to analyze, and we either in form of a dissertation or thesis we submitted. So it's more or less the same approach which continues till date. But some modification has come, which is very important, because the most important question everybody asks, what is the your recommendation, how this your work is be relevant to the society, how this has addressed the concern about the weaker sections of the society, or even the environment or human rights, whatever the topics, you start thinking about that, and people ask a question related with that particular program. So some contribution is there, and what we see, a new dimension has come in the research, that is the action research in law. When we talk about the action research in
Excuse me, sir. Sorry for the interruption.
I, I so
So you got me.
so go back to the
Just for a minute, sir.
So there's some technical error. Just give us 5 minutes.
All right, I think it's Sapna is working now. Uh, so, can I continue? Hello.
Yes, sir, please. And sorry for this.
Let me go back to where I said the new approach which we see more action research. So action research is like, it offers a immediate solution to a particular problem. And why I'm saying this, that government also, like, Ministry of Law and Justice these days, they have number of research projects, and they focus on the action research in law to understand the problem, existing problem, and offer a solution. I'll give you an example recently, which I had an opportunity also to approve a project which is in the final stage, that is related with the delay in disposal of cases by the Indian courts, particularly in the context of Delhi. And so that work was done, and there are 25 courts in Delhi that has been and 1,200 files have been looked, cases have been examined by the researchers. And the only reason, and that is the reason, we made an observation. Uh, the finding was that adjournment was the major cause. Adjournment is the major cause for the delay in the disposal of justice. This is one. And second was, in cases of civil cases, it's a plaintiff which is who is responsible. Plaintiff, delay also in this, in civil matters. In the criminal matters, it's accused, basically accused, and then lawyers. So they said these are the findings. But when we looked into that finding at adjournment, which we all are aware that this is not, they said case is perfectly fine, and you have examined 1,200 cases, is more empirical research, interacted with all the sections, and then this conclusion. But these are known facts. Like adjournment generally is a known fact is there. So research has to something new to offer in addition to the existing condition. So even if any researcher takes any topic related to the environment and any other areas, he or she has to give a concrete contribution to the work he has or she has done. That is the important contribution. Rest of the things you analyze, you look into the decision of the Supreme Court was not correct, or court should have looked into this particular aspect. If I say about the decriminalization of the Supreme Court of the, decriminalization section 377 of the IPC, we said the court has addressed the issue, but court should have also addressed the issue about their status, marital status, and other aspects, adoption and other things. So they say, it's not, it's decriminalized, police cannot address, but you did not allow the other consequences of that relationship. So that aspect has, again, people have gone to the court, and then they are looking forward. So court has, so this kind of critical observation one can make while going through the cases, while doing the research. So the second point which I have in the mind, today we should focus more on the mixed approach of the research. Mixed approach of the research, what I mean, where doctrinal as well as the empirical research. There are a lot of factors in the research which also play a very important role in completion of a work. So that requires how much time you have, how much like resources you have, and how you can do the empirical research. So a balanced approach will be doctrinal, and certain portion of the research can be empirical research, which you understand the real problem, the field problem, and that is the so like a new trend is there where we adopt for where we encourage students to go for the mixed research approach. There is a doctrinal and non-doctrinal, without without analyzing the law, without analyzing the cases, without analyzing the theories. A law research will be incomplete if you only go in the field and you do the research about the behavior pattern of a particular ethnic group. That may be a research for the sociology, that may be a good research for the anthropology. So you have to, as a law student or law teachers, we have to look into the law also, and the judicial decisions, and the third part, the behavior pattern of a particular community which we, and that is the reason we have. So we can't ignore the certain constitutional provisions, the statutory, various statutes, and judicial decisions. They are important components of the legal research that has to be assessed and analyzed by all the research. The last point which I have, I wish I could have continued, but I'll just last 2 points I have, because recently you see a major issue and how a researcher can contemporary, if I say emerging trend, what kind of state research we should undertake, which should help in disposal of cases, speedy justice, and also the second, justice to the poorer, weaker sections of the society, justice to the under trial prisoners, bail. These are the matters which emerged a very important areas, and what has been reflected recently, what we have seen in the newspaper, and where Honorable Chief Justice of India and Law Minister both were there, where law minister said that there are 5 crore cases are pending, and in fact 2 crore cases cases were added during the last 2 years during the pandemic. So prior to pandemic it was 3 crore, but after pandemic it has gone to 5 crore cases. And law minister was little bit expressed his concern while addressing in a meeting, in the NALSA meeting in Jaipur. However, the Honorable Chief Justice had said, there's a responsibility on the part of the government, because lack of infrastructure, lack of technological facilities in the lower court or subordinate courts, and that creates a lot of problem. So some way we see the quick disposal of cases remains as it is. We are more engaged in the expressing inabilities of the both organs like judiciary, legislature, and executive. We are not looking into the seriously to overcome with this particular problem. And this is not a new phenomena. The pendency of cases, delay, speedy justice, these are there even in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So this problem is not every decades witness, discuss this problem. So these problems in multiplying time to time. If you go back in 70 or 80, you'll find some judgment of the Krishna Iyer. Also, he expressed same thing. He expressed about the under trial prisoners. He, in fact, took a lot of pain for the reform in the prison system in India, under trial prisoners, bail, lot of things because he, in 7 years duration when he was in the court, 1973 to 1980, he took a lot of initiative, particularly in the prison reforms, because he was the only judge in the Supreme Court of India who was jailed for 2 months. He was in the jail. So he know the condition of this. He's the only chief judge of the Supreme Court who spent some time in the jail, and subsequently he became minister. So he had an idea. He visited Tihar jail and other jails also, and a lot of important judgment related with the prison reforms he has done. The last point which I have, where I see that in particular time, a student, a researcher can think about number of areas, particularly if I say intellectual property rights and access to medicine. This is one. can be very important topic in today right to health context. We can see climate change and human rights. I'm not talking about the environment, I'm talking about the climate change and human rights, bioethics, artificial intelligence, cyber laws. These are the emerging areas which can be looked into. And then also some of the traditional areas which has not been explored extensively, that can be called international space law. That's the international space law, international maritime law, deep sea bed mining. These are the areas where we have to look and examine, because there is a gap in Indian research. Indian, we focus more on the constitutional perspective and Indian constitution. I hope that the So I'd like to just to end by thanking Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Registrar Sir, Prerna, Rashmi, and all other colleagues for inviting me and giving me a chance. And I'm extremely sorry that I have to leave, but somehow I had to. Thank you very much.
Uh,
Thank you.
kindly request Vice Chancellor sir to give the thanks to Honorable Manoj Sinha sir.
In this webinar, Professor Manoj Sinha very rightly described the different aspects of legal research. The environmental deterioration connected with the mining is the selling point for legal persons. The other intellectual property right, the cyber crime, these are few selective points in the present scenario. So it is my pleasure to have all of you in Starex University campus in the form of webinar, and this webinar will describe certain selling points to open the new avenues for research. I had already been LLM from Agra University and awarded by Human Rights Watch Commission as LLD 2 last year. So I know the significance of legal remedies. I think more than 200 laws are nowadays given by the British government and lying pending in our constitutional framework. They must be abolished simultaneously. System is going on. So I hope you all will describe these points in your webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you, especially Sinha Saab, the genius person.
Thank you, sir. So with your kind permission, I would like to leave to you and the Registrar, sir. To kindly allow me, sir, for the some other meeting and
As our chief guest, Professor Manoj Kumar Sinha, has spared very valuable time. He is out of the station working busy in some other schedule, busy schedule. But sir, I am very much thankful to you that you have spared time to encourage us, and especially to our young faculty members. I'm thankful to you all. I'm also thankful to our Vice Chancellor sir, who has also spared very valuable time. He has been some other meeting, and for that purpose he became a bit late, but he has spared time. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you to all participants for the future delegations and deliberation in the future. Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we end today's event, I would like to thank you all for joining. Our first session is over for now. Our second session will begin at 1 p.m. Your presence today shows a strong commitment towards the faculty development program. In particular, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our speaker for sharing his expertise with us. I believe we all took note with a great interest of your valuable intervention, sir. We look forward to
Excuse me,
having you.
ma'am.
Yes.
There is some problem, I guess. You're not audible.
Hello, am I audible?
No, ma'am. Still, you're not audible.
Vasa ma'am, am I audible?
Rashmi, you are very much audible.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. So we hope we have sir again in our future. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Chancellor Sir, Mr. Mohinder Singh Ji, for providing us a wonderful platform to host such events. I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, our Registrar Sir, for lending their support throughout the event. Without them, this IFDP would not have been possible. So we'll wait for our second session to begin. Our session will begin exactly at 1 p.m. So all the participants are requested to join at least 5 minutes prior to the event. Thank you so much. Participants, please fill out the feedback forms. It is available in the chat box.